Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking on, well, what might just be our most ambitious deep dive yet.
I think so.
We're looking at a set of spiritual instructions that don't just promise personal growth, they promise complete self-transformation and nothing less than the reclamation of global sovereignty.
That's right. Our sources are powerful. We've got excerpts from The Divine Path to Spiritual Sovereignty, dated 1401-2026 and 15668. And they map out a path from Narsin-Orion.
From an ordinary human to a perfected deity.
Exactly. It's a journey.
It sounds like a literal blueprint for achieving the impossible.
Right.
So our mission here is to really distill the core directions, the foundational knowledge you need to attain what the text calls the Unchpad, the highest status. What do you actually have to do?
And the sources are, they are exceptionally clear that this isn't a gentle path. They call the destination Abadi Bari Manzil.
A very great destination.
A very great one. And they immediately introduce the main antagonist, Maya, illusion. The entire journey is defined by that conflict.
And that conflict, surprisingly, it seems to start with history.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the foundational premise here. Why does this transformation even need to happen?
Well, the text grounds its whole premise in a historical loss.
Yeah.
Or maybe a mythological one. It says that India's original spiritual kingdom was lost, sequentially.
Okay.
And it didn't start with an external invasion. It started with the spiritual degradation, a fall led by Ravan under what the sources call Asuri Mat, demonic influence.
So the later historical losses to the Muslims, the British, you're saying those were just symptoms of a spiritual battle that was already lost.
Precisely. The physical loss was secondary to that initial internal fall. And if you read the material, the entire focus now is to reverse that, to establish a kingdom so secure that it's permanent. A state that no one can ever snatch away from you.
That is the ultimate goal then. Unsnatchable spiritual security. And the sources say this is actively being established right now, this deity capital or deity Rajani.
Yes, the establishment of the deity kingdom, they call it Vishnupuri.
Yeah.
And the implication here is enormous.
It's not just personal.
No, it's not just about you. It's a global paradigm shift. The text says the final result will be a world without multiple religions. And the inhabitants who get there, who achieve this status, they become Vishivkamalik.
Masters of the world.
Masters of the world.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive picture. So if we accept that monumental goal, let's bring it right down to the practical level. What is the supreme direction, the shrimat, that you need to even begin?
It's simple, but it requires absolute obedience. You have to follow the Father's instruction, kadam kadam.
Step by step.
Step by step. There's no room for self-direction. And the second rule is related. You must listen only to the Father. Ek bap se hayusuno. You have to filter out all the other voices.
But obedience to what specific instruction? I mean, if you had to pick one non-negotiable from all this material, what is it?
Purity. The foundational condition is pavitra banahai.
To become holy. Or pure.
Yes. And the text really stresses this. Without this purification, the intellectual understanding, the dharna of the knowledge, it just won't stick in the intellect. Purity is it's the vessel for the knowledge.
Okay, purity is the foundation. Let's move to the main methodology then, because the text really emphasizes a practice that's very different from traditional worship. The whole journey seems to focus on yad, on remembrance.
This is the absolute crux of the effort. The core instruction is mamekam yad karo. Remember only me. It's explicitly called the greatest effort.
Kas purusharth hayad ki yatraka.
Right. And if you want the main benefit, the source says this is it. It comes from remembrance. Because that's the mechanism that destroys your past karmic accounts.
Yeah.
The vikarm vinish.
But here's where it gets a little paradoxical. We usually think of deep remembrance or meditation as sitting quietly in a focused state, nishtha. But the text seems to reject that.
It does, completely. It clarifies that this constant remembrance has to be practiced, chalfirte.
While walking and moving around.
Yes, while functioning in daily life. It's not an activity you set aside for an hour in the morning. It's a sustained mental state you have to hold while you're doing everything else. It integrates the spiritual practice right into your worldly routine.
How does anyone maintain that kind of constant awareness while running a household or going to work? It sounds exhausting.
Well, it leads directly into the next concept, which is the kind of detachment you need. The sources give a very radical instruction here. Jite jimaro.
Die alive.
Die alive.
That's an unsettling phrase. What does that practically mean for someone listening?
It means you have to fundamentally shift your identity. You stop identifying with your physical body, your job, your nationality. You understand yourself only as the soul, the Atma, and you abandon all the body's religions and forms. You're basically treating your current life as a temporary role on a stage. It's not who you actually are.
And what's the big thing that stops people from doing this? The sources point to one major obstacle.
Attachment. Absolutely. No. It's the main villain. The text warns that the vein of attachment, the Moki rag, is not small.
It has to be severed.
Brutally. The goal is nasto moha, total detachment. And you cement that with this powerful declaration. Merita ek Shiv Baba dutra na koi. Mine is only one, Shiv Baba, no other.
And the source material speaks to those who are struggling with this directly. It's almost a challenge, isn't it? Tun kyon my funds paid hall.
Why are you getting unnecessarily entangled? It's a reminder that this entanglement is just. It's costly and it's pointless given the goal. And this detachment is directly tied to your success. You have to engage in Rohani service, spiritual service, and forget everyone else. The mindset has to be fierce. Af moya margai dunia.
You died, the world died.
Only with that level of internal separation can you get to that highest status.
So detachment is required for service, but service also reinforces detachment. But this description of Maya as a wrestler, it sounds less like quiet practice and more like constant combat.
That is precisely the language the text uses. Maya is a great Pahalwan, a wrestler, and she will not let go. It will actively test you. And the text specifically warns that even when you reach the final stage of life, the Vanaprastha Avasta,
Right at the finish line.
even then, Maya will attack by bringing Vikarka Sankalp, thoughts of vice.
So the struggle gets more intense right at the end. That would make most people just want to give up.
And this is where the text offers a really powerful analogy to keep that fear away. It compares the struggle to taking strong medicine.
Okay.
A doctor will warn you that the medicine first brings out all the disease, sari, bimari bahar niklegi. So you shouldn't fear the symptoms getting worse at first. The spiritual journey is the same. The struggle getting more intense just means the purification is working. The instruction is simple. Darnanahi.
Do not fear.
Do not fear.
That context, it makes the extreme rules they describe feel less punitive and more like necessary, intensive therapy. Tell us about the discipline, specifically this concept of the buddy, the furnace.
Historically, the path had periods of absolute discipline. The initial intensive was 7 days in the body. No letters, no external communication.
Nothing.
Nothing. No worldly remembrance was allowed. It was a complete isolation chamber for purification.
And the consequences for breaking that vow of purity, even once, are severe.
Extremely. If someone falls after making that promise, they're described as having kalamunkardia. They've blackened their face. And the seriousness is underscored by the rule that they're told not to return for 12 months.
It really emphasizes that this isn't a casual path. Those promises are seen as absolute spiritual contracts.
Absolutely.
So the path demands absolute purity, and it seems absolute honesty, which leads us to the highest form of surrender, becoming a trustee.
Right. To become a trustee means full surrender. Nothing is mine. And critically, it requires total transparency. You have to share your true podemel, your account of deeds, with the Father to get guidance, the Raye. If you hide anything, any thought or action, you can't get the correct direction.
And this full surrender is required because this whole thing is part of a supreme divine structure, an eternal cycle. Let's clarify that spiritual hierarchy.
It's very precise.
Yeah.
At the absolute top, leading the spiritual garland, is the Father, Shiva. He's described as the Bindu, a point of light, formless, a Nirakar fool.
Okay.
And immediately below him are the Meru couple, Jagapita Brahma and Jagat Amba Saraswati.
And the text explains how the Father actually makes his presence known on earth.
Yes, the source confirms that the Father enters the very last birth of the soul who is the purest devotee. So now that soul is the most impure, Tamaprahan. And that timing is crucial. It happens at the absolute end of the cycle when the world is at its most degraded.
Which brings us to the structure of time itself, the eternal drama. What do the sources say about our lives within this cycle?
That the entire role of every single soul is already filled within it. Atmamin Varahwai, it's all pre-recorded. A specific part in a play that just repeats eternally.
So what's the implication of knowing your role is fixed? Does that mean you just stop trying?
No, not at all. It means you stop dwelling on the past. A major instruction is to avoid revising the past Joho Gayai, because that act, it weakens those with a kamzor dil, a weak heart.
So the focus has to be on being fearless, Nidar, right now.
It's non-negotiable. Because the destruction of the entire world, Saridani Hikatam Honihai, is imminent. It's happening through the current conflict, the modern-day Mahabharat War.
A clear, dramatic deadline, and the sources confirm that this knowledge itself, it has a shelf life.
It does. The time for learning is finite. The text explicitly says that when the followers achieve this high status, this state of being knowledgeful, the part of giving and receiving knowledge will stop. Gyan stop ho jayega.
The teaching part ends.
The Father's teaching part ends. It's a temporary university, and the final bell is about to ring.
Given that the clock is ticking, let's look at the highest calling within this limited time. What does a successful spiritual server actually look like?
They're defined as Rui Gulab, spiritual roses. They're the highest spiritual servers who've internalized the practice so much that they constantly experience the Supreme Soul as present. They spread the fragrance of spirituality, the Ruhaniyat ki Khushbu, just by their state of being.
And the practical outcome of this high status is a state of freedom, specifically Bandhan Mukt Re Jivan Mukt Sthiti.
A life liberated while still alive, free from bondage. And the sources break down the 3 specific bondages you have to break in this life: the body, relationships, and resources. Sadlan Kabantan.
So true liberation is maintaining a loving connection, but being internally free of dependence on all 3.
Exactly.
How does a learner, practically track their progress in this and breaking these bonds and maintaining that remembrance?
The daily requirement is simple self-accountability. Keep a chart Rakho. This chart tracks your time and remembrance and the quality of your self-effort. Apne se minat karne. The practice starts the moment you wake up, analyzing, Aj Baba ki yaad mein bed. Did I remember the Father today?
It sounds like the ultimate form of self-monitoring. And to wrap up the methodology, the Father isn't just a teacher, he's an immortal surgeon.
He is the Avinashi surgeon. Yeah. And he provides the Sanjivani Buddhi, the life-giving herb. And that herb is the memory. It's the yad. The goal is to return to the state of the deities, who are described as Sadaiv Nirogi Pavan Haina.
Always pure and never sick.
Always. By constantly remembering the Father, they apply that immortal medicine and maintain perfect purity and health.
This deep dive, it reveals a demanding path, but a very direct one. Spiritual power, or Shakti, comes from yoga, that constant remembrance. And spiritual wealth, Don, comes from the Gyan, the knowledge. And the whole journey just demands unrelenting courage. Himmat.
That courage is the key, especially since the time for this training is explicitly said to be closing. The reel of the drama is about to finish. The text warns that if you don't undertake intense rehearsal tiki right now,
then what happens?
Then, when the body must finally be shed, those who failed to practice will find their legs trembling tang, thrakni lag peregi. They'll face an unexpected spiritual failure. Heart fail, akanat hodorehiga.
A sudden, unplanned exit from the drama.
Precisely. The text encourages intense, fearless practice today. So the provocative thought for you, the learner, is built on this warning. Given the imminence of the ending and the need for this courage, what specific difficult rehearsal, a practice of detachment maybe, or of honesty must you undertake today to ensure you are fearless and prepared? Before the opportunity to learn this great lesson just runs out, the time for transformation is now.